April the 6th, 1909. Charles and Ella Branham at their humble log cabin near Burkesville, Kentucky. Little did the young couple know that early that morning, at the birth of their firstborn son, God would visit them in the form of a pillar of fire. By this amazing sign, God would recognize this newborn baby as the vessel chosen to bring forth a message to God's children in these last days.
We lived way back in the hills of Kentucky, close to the Cumberland River on the Tennessee line. Our little log cabin didn't span over 20 feet wide and was made out of logs that were all chinked together with mud. Our dining room consisted of an old stump that Dad had cut and made into a table, and a complimentary little bench he made for us kiddies to sit on. On the other side of the cabin, we had our sleeping quarters. All of us boys would climb up in the little loft where Mom and Dad laid a straw tick down to make it comfortable for us. When it would rain or snow, Mom would put a piece of canvas over our blanket to keep us dry, as the weather would just pour through the roof. Mom was half Indian and was accustomed to living in the conditions we lived in. Her father was the greatest hunter I ever knew. Many times he would trap raccoons and take the grease he rendered from the fat and give it to Mom. That was the cure all around our house while I grew up. When we got sick, we'd take this coon grease for our medicine. While we slept many times, us kiddies would get so much matter in our eyes until we'd be swollen shut the next morning. But Mom would just rub a little of that coon grease on them, and believe it or not, in a few minutes they'd open right up. I can hardly think of those boyhood days before I break down in my heart. There was truly no days like that. It holds some of the greatest memories of my life. My family was the poorest of poor in those days, however. We didn't have running water, electricity, or even a floor in our home. We'd take our baths on a little wash bench tacked to a tree just outside the cabin. Dad had a little mirror hanging just above the wash bench and would use it to shave with. He'd take a bunch of corn shucks and tie them together and use it to apply the homemade soap my mom made to his face. I remember he had a big straight razor he'd shave with and would dry his face with the burlap towel Mom made for him. He is a very strong man. When he would roll up his sleeves, I'd always admire his muscles that they would just wad up in his arms. He was a logger by trade and could load a 950-pound log into the wagon all by himself. But as tough as he was, he sure softened up like a teddy bear a few days before Mom was due to have her first baby. He was determined to make everything just perfect for Mom. He even bought a brand new pair of overalls for the event. The exciting young couple must have been very careful to do everything they could to prepare for a newborn baby. Nothing, however, could prepare them for the outstanding miracle that would soon take place within our home. Early in the morning on April 6, 1909, as the sun began to peep over the hill, and a little robin was singing nearby with everything he had in him, the Lord Jesus allowed me to be born into this earth. After the midwife had handed me to my mother, she opened the window on the cabin door to shed enough light for Mother to see what I looked like. But as soon as she pulled back the window, the pillar of fire came whirling into the room and settled over where I was. In the presence of this supernatural being, my parents and the mountain people were very disturbed and did not know the meaning of this supernatural event. They were very superstitious people to begin with and began screaming and crying as they had never experienced anything like this before. This same pillar of fire that hung over me when I was born would lead me and speak to me all the days of my life. He was the one who spoke to me from a tree when I was a young child, saying I would live near a city called New Albany, Indiana. He was the one who later told me never to drink, smoke, or defile my body in any way. He was the one I met in person when he commissioned me to pray for the sick, saying, if you get the people to believe you and be sincere when you pray, nothing will stand before your prayers. This same light that has followed me all the days of my life is the same light that was with Moses as he led the children of Israel through the wilderness, and the same light that smote Paul blind on the way to Damascus. For he truly is Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever.